Sunny's with us. Sunny is an amazing teacher and friend of yours, and actually of ours.
So Sunny, why don't you introduce yourself?
Yes, please.
My name is Sonia Barbanel, and I have been using soft Mozart, I think, for about 15 years, Helen, and I love it. The children love it. I've had adults on it too, young adults, and it's been wonderful. Just amazing.
Sunny, tell us please, who are you? Are you a piano teacher or music teacher or singing teacher? What are you teaching?
I am teaching piano using the soft Mozart. I have studied voice and was a professional singer for over 25 years. I teach also organ, mostly pop organ, although I have one student that is learning how to play classical organ. And I've been teaching music forever. And mostly I was teaching adults organ, class organ lessons for a dealer. And then when my husband got sick, I started teaching in my home, and I was very thankful for that. And Helen came into my life at that time. And
I have a question. I was always wondering, let's forget about soft Mozart. Imagine you are back in time and you're not using soft Mozart, and people coming to you with children, and they ask you the question, is my child talented? Is he having musical aptitude? Is he ready to take piano lessons? What you would say then?
Just a second, ladies. Sorry for interrupting you. Just a second. Sonia, will you please check if you're recording this?
Am I recording it? Or
No, Sonia. Sonia post.
Okay.
Yeah. Because I looked at the screen and I didn't.
It looks like Sonia's mic is muted also.
Yeah, but she knows what I'm talking about.
It is now we are recording. So Helen, if you could go back and re-ask your question. And if
Yes,
Sonia, if you
okay.
could reintroduce yourself. Sorry, I wasn't recording.
Okay, I just wanted to say my name is Sonia Barbanel. I live in Fresno, California, and I have been using soft Mozart probably for about 15 years, I think.
Can you go, please?
A little bit less, because we just came up with this 15 years ago.
Okay.
I assume we found you 2 years later, so it's about 13 years.
Okay. Yes, and at the time that I started using it, I had been using it maybe for a year, and then I felt like I didn't really know how to use it right, and at that time my husband was in a hospital bed, and I was taking care of him 24/7, so I arranged for Helen to come out here and
Hey, I came to California to see you.
yes,
Yeah, I remember that time. It was
I'm
wonderful.
so grateful for that. It was just wonderful.
Yes.
It was wonderful training, and I wasn't kind of shooting from the blind. You know, I had a lot more understanding of what to do and how to use it. Yeah, it was great. Great training.
So the question is, imagine that you still don't know what soft Mozart is. Go back in time. And imagine that you don't have this tool to check how talented the children are. And parents asking you, Sunny, is my child musically? Can we start music lessons? Would you recommend it? Or it's a little bit too early? Or so did you divide children on talented and not talented?
No, I never do that, because I think that everyone is capable of learning, and I have even worked with, my first student actually had muscular dystrophy, and his hands were toned like this, and he couldn't use his fingers. He had been taking piano lessons somehow from another teacher. He was 25 years old at the time, but
Kevin,
he
was Kevin?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Was his name Kevin?
Kevin, yes.
I
Yeah,
remember, yes.
yes. He had severe muscular dystrophy and he was mentally retarded also, and had the mental age of 13, and he was 25. And
Mhm.
when I actually started the Soft Mozart program because of him. And
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
yes, I did.
Huh.
And you had sent out I guess, a blank email to piano teachers. I don't know how I got on that list, but I'm very thankful that I was on that list. And he had no concept of timing. I mean, he probably understood that a whole note gets 4 beats and a half note gets 2 beats and a quarter note, but putting it together, he just couldn't. He had no feeling for the timing because he was still trying to figure out the ABCs. It was really hard. And then when I was able to use it with games to help him with the guess key game and the note duration, and then he didn't have to worry in the beginning of being able to play 2 hands at the same time. He could do the right hand and then the left hand while the other hand was being played automatically. It was a great tool for him. And I've always thought, because I had a little bit of Montessori background, in working with my own children and being a teacher aide for some time before I got into the music business, I always thought that anything that would work with a handicapped child would work well with an adult, or would work well with a normal kid. And I guess I was right about that.
Oh, you have a lot of common sense. Absolutely.
Yeah, and but the Soft Mozart, he was able to play. I even devised a device. You know the old-fashioned devices that you use to draw staff lines on a blackboard? It had like fingers where you put the chalk to draw a fine
I
line.
remember his father designed this device, and he was not able to play chords.
I created that. I mean, it was my idea because he had no dexterity, none in his hands. So and he wanted to play a boogie woogie song. So I created a device that he could hold like that, and it had the same type of thing that he could play a triad chord.
Yes,
With
3
that,
notes
just
at a
holding
time.
it down, and he could play it with his right hand, a single note. It was perfect. It was perfect.
Let me summarize how I understood what you're trying to say. All children are musically inclined. Everybody is talented. And we use music to upbring them, to develop them even further.
Yes.
Ultimately, this question is completely wrong. We are not using children to improve music. We are using music to improve children.
Yeah. Yeah. And
So
that's right.
this question is wrong. Why? Because we are trying to ask, is my child fit to communicate with beautiful, God-given sounds of heaven? Is my child good enough to communicate with these sounds? Instead of saying how those sounds can help my child to become a better person. Imagine if we are dealing with children with special needs. It's one thing. So for special needs, music is developing brain, fine motor skills, ability to focus, to speak, to think clearly, to manage time, etc. For average person, it's just completely different level of life quality of life. When mother play for her children, when people gather for Thanksgiving or Christmas, and after heavy meal they are sitting around piano and someone is playing and everybody's singing, it's blessing.
It is. It is. And
It's
that's how,
completely
right. And people bought, because I was in retail for 30 years. and people bought pianos so that if anything, they would play at Christmas time, and the whole family would sit around and enjoy music and singing and everything. And I think a lot of that we have lost in our society.
We lost, and why I think we are losing this, and we lost because we have children, and if your child is bringing you a card, self-made card, of course it's not artist, of course it's not professional card, but it's our own child and our own feelings and our own family experience. This is what this card represents. And in music, instead of playing for each other, being not perfect, but being ourselves, we are turning the CD or recorder and listen to professional musicians. It is not the same.
No, it is not.
Absolutely. We are losing the most powerful experience as a family, all generations together. This is what we are losing. We are maybe winning some quality if someone is playing very well, quality is better. But we are losing our own life, our own experience. We are passive. We are not active in this life. So when I watch all this television programs on 60 Minutes about this beautiful young girl, Prodigy, I want to pass this message to everyone. When you see such programs, when you see prodigies, when you see violinist playing or great pianist playing, I want to say one simple phrase: good for you, right?
Right.
Good for you. Good for this little girl that she is so talented and blessed with a great ear. Good for her. Now, the second question that coming out of this is how it can help me. What is it in your playing, in your glorious talent for me, for my life? And sometimes when I see them, yeah, they communicate with God. Gosh, they're so talented. They are just so artistic. And I'm sitting and I'm not feeling anything, no connection to them. It's good for them, not good for me. So we have to always ask this question, and we have to ask this question to the teachers. Somebody is coming to piano teachers, and teachers sit down at the piano and start playing beautifully. And the question is how this teacher can pass it on to me. It's good for her, she plays, but how she can pass this knowledge to me. This is the parents coming to lessons. They want to know, I pay money per hour. I want to know how much my child is going to learn. And this is always, most of the time, lost in between lines. This is what is driving me crazy about the whole teaching thing. And when parents coming to me and they say, how good is my child? I want to tell them, your child is unique. It is only child in the world, God-given child, unique, and whatever he does is going to be best for him. And we don't have to compare this child to Mozart, to neighbor, to a piano teacher, to anyone. He is unique as is. And this was the main reason why I came up with soft Mozart. The first thing, I was always having this goal in my head. Every teacher, regardless how great the teacher is, have to be replaceable. We cannot depend on teacher, even if you receive the best teacher in the world. Life is passing, teachers coming and going, people moving around, people passing away. Child doesn't have to be connected forever from the teacher, dependent on him. Child has to learn regardless, with teacher or without teacher. I was traveling a lot. I left behind a lot of my favorite students. Students love me. A lot of them quit music after me going to different state or different country. And I feel responsible for them because I destroyed their lives because I was too good. They couldn't find replacement. And it's a very big problem. So I decided to create something that even if I will be gone, my students will still keep developing their music skills. And I found out that everyone can do this without me. In fact, music teacher is needed not to interpret the text. I mean, not to read the text, but to interpret the text. So I created a way when every student one-on-one can communicate with music text, with music notation. They can read notation, and teacher is sitting behind the student and watching him doing it. And when the student get to the point when he learned the piano piece and memorize it and enjoying playing it, then he turn to a teacher and say, oh, what should I do next? Oh, I forgot to tell you. Let me tell you something. Here you can do staccato. Here you can do legato. Here it's going to be sparkling like this. And child is starting understanding what he's supposed to do. In the current stage of teaching, piano teacher, before child even touches the piano, stands between music text and interpretation and starts telling child what he or she's supposed to do. It's like a slavery. It's like you don't have mind on your own. You are nobody. I'm your role model, and I will tell you what you have to think, how you have to feel, and what you have to think about this music composition. And it turned everything upside down. It took the freedom away from a child. And this is what is really, I think it's a very big problem today. It's a very big problem because a lot of parents, they want their children to be happy. They don't go to take piano lessons to become artists and performers on stage. No. All what they want is for my child, I want my child to be successful. I want my child to be creative. I want my child to open any sheet music and read it. I want my child have different quality of life. I want my child to grow up and be popular among children of his age because they know how to play music instruments and how to sing. I want my child to become successful graduate of school, to become professional. I want my child to make enough money to sustain himself. I want just him to enjoy life. This is what parents want. What teachers want when they see the child. The good teacher wants the same. They all team up. And if child is not progressing as a Van Cliburn, good teacher is not bothered by this because child doesn't have to be another Van Cliburn. But majority of teachers think differently because they use prodigies to show how good their teaching skills are, like a showcase. So they try to look for talented children to show off their skills. And majority of parents think, oh, this teacher has such wonderful students and they play so well. I will take the lessons from this teacher. I will pay for her time. But they don't understand one thing, that
Our student actually had muscular dystrophy.
What
his hand
did is just added a little bit of teaching
were
to God
toned
given talent.
like this. And he
You
couldn't
said absolutely great stuff, Sunny. You said if you can teach
use
child with
his
special
fingers. He
needs,
had been
you
taking piano
also
lessons
can teach
somehow
any child. But look
from
at
another
on the
teacher.
YouTube,
He
look everywhere. How many children with special needs do you see playing piano? As a showcase for piano teachers. None. Very randomly. Very.
Hmm.
Professional teachers try to show off the prodigies. This is not the case. We cannot judge the work of professionals by prodigies. Yes, it's nice to be able to polish prodigies and bring them to stage and make them professional musicians. But average parents, they want their children to be happy. And how we are making children happy? Is it possible with current way of teaching music? Let's start with the essential question about it. Music notation. It has 5 lines and 5 spaces plus 5 lines, 5 spaces. Human eye can focus on only one object at a time. Our child is learning when we have baby, child is learning how to focus eyesight on large objects, on large and colorful objects. We are buying them toys, which is large, colorful, and making noise. Why we need noise? Because child already developed ear. Before he developed vision, he develops ear. So he can hear first and then acknowledge the object afterwards. So first our babies learned how to focus and see the large object. Then they learn how to see smaller objects. Then they learn how to see big letters and they recognize the letter sign by the picture that we place, A apple. Then they learn how to read in lines, line by line. It's all skills that are not given to us. We have to earn it. We have to work on it. And therefore, all the languages, all written languages on earth are linear. We read from left to right, from right to left, from up to down, but line by line. And in music, we have 5 plus 5. And spaces are also source of information. So our eyesight unable to read that many lines at the same time. Now, student is coming to an average piano lesson. We place in front of him beginner book, method book, beginner book. Even with large lines and spaces, it's still 5 or 10 lines plus 5 spaces. So it's absolutely incomprehensible. Do we have this word in English, incomprehensible? Hard to grasp with the vision that we have, with our focus. And we all pretend, all adults pretend that it is possible. We are making we are pretending that child can do it, even though many piano teachers cannot do it. I know a lot of piano teachers who cannot sight read music. They can't. They play by ear. So we all pretend that it is okay to give such music notation. And we don't understand that we are breaking his spirit because we are lying to the child. We are lying. We are saying it's simple. Just learn it. Every good boy does fine. Just learn it. Just spend time. Just do drills and drills and drills, and you will get it. He won't because our eyesight is not working this way. We can't. It's just line by line. And then adding to this that we are having sheet music and we have keys. And we want from the child to see, to grasp all this lines of space as a whole, to find all these keys that connecting to these lines and spaces. And we all say, it's okay, you can do it. You can do it, sweetie. Go home and practice. And child is coming home and opening the same 5 lines and 5 spaces and he doesn't know where to look. If you go to internet and Google piano teacher, you will see thousands of pictures of a piano teacher sitting next to a child and pointing to the sheet music. So helping child's eyes to look somewhere. Because, why is that? Because child cannot do it. And when child is coming home, parents cannot do it for child. Parents don't know music notation. They don't know where to point. And then they are coming to the lesson again and teacher asks, did you practice? I don't know. Did I practice or not? So this comes year by year, century by century. And we are having today mostly musically literate people who take piano lessons or who doesn't take piano lessons, even piano teachers. And I was going to different public schools to music teachers with my program, trying to convince them to start sight reading with my program. And they confess to me they don't know how to sight read music. They don't. It's everybody's problem. It's everybody's problem. And musicians, they right now, if you go to any forum, musicians are having very heated debates. Should we read music at all? We don't need to read music if it's so unfriendly to us. So let's all play by ear. And when parents taking piano lessons, a lot of stuff right now in classes going on, playing by ear, orally, like the piano teachers used to say, orally. For example, they're coming to piano lessons and everybody is trying to start with how to determine 3 black keys from 2 black keys. 3 black keys from 2 black keys. Parents paying money for this. 3 black keys or 2 black keys. What black keys supposed to do with music notation? How the black keys can help children to understand where each note is located. Absolutely, it has no relevance to music notation at all. People wasting money, they're wasting their time, learning absolutely nothing, because the 3 or 2 black keys has nothing to do with reading music. In our system, we, at the very first lesson, we introduce people to the simple fact that lines and spaces of grand staff and piano keys, the same unit. If you turn sideways the music notation, you will see that the same music notes under your tips of your fingers. How more simple it could be than that? And I represented this approach to major universities, major music schools, music colleges, scientists, and nobody can say anything against that. It's a fact. Music keys and music notes are the same unit. Why in all the textbooks that we have, we don't start with that? Why don't we show every child how music notes and keys are related? How much time and money we can save, and what time, what money, the most important we can save children, because it makes sense. They learn by using their vision. So this is why I think even this question, is my child musically inclined, is wrong. All children musically inclined. Are we ready to teach all children? I believe not. It has to be visual aid to teach all children.
Beautifully said, Helen. Just such wisdom. Such wisdom.
Thank you, Sam.
One of the things that bugs me too is that competitions and comparing two children, two students, that really is like an affront to me. I hate that, because I have been victimized by my own thoughts thinking that, oh, I wasn't as good as somebody else, because we always compare our worst with somebody else's best. And that doesn't do me any good at all. And it doesn't do any good for the student, for the child. So it's a tough thing to overcome, I think, but you have to eliminate that from the beginning.
Absolutely. The wounds are incredibly uncurable. Some children bring these wounds for the rest of their lives. I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough. Comparing themselves with someone else. But look, I just told you right now, if you are giving a child notation, it's like ideal notation, and you say, okay, I don't know how you're going to do it, but you have to understand how it all works, right? So this is when you're laying very foundation for all this disaster, because instead of breaking notation to adjust to vision of a child, we are breaking a child to adjust to the notation. And then it's coming, it's like a Pandora box opening for all these problems, because then if this is ideal notation, then it's supposed to be ideal player. Who is ideal child? Oh, Mozart. Mozart is ideal child. So let's compare all the children to ideal child Mozart. And all this started in fact when Beethoven was born, and when he was growing, his father was beating Beethoven because he's not enough Mozart. This is when it started. And now we're chasing prodigies. We are calling each child who come up with good talent, we call them another Mozart, second Mozart. We don't even realize how wrong is that. We are comparing.
So Helen, oh, go ahead.
We are comparing, first of all, we set an ideal thing, ideal sheet music. So no matter what, we have to keep ideal sheet music. We are not going to change it. Let's change children. We are not going to change sheet music. And then we are enforce on children ideal playing. So right now, what this 60 Minutes did, they threw in our face how we are not enough good like this girl, because this girl is given talent. She is talented, good for her. But and every parent watching, what the parents think. Okay, my child is not like that. I'm not going to music. Forget about it. It's not for my child. This is what's wrong they are doing by showing this kind of children. They are not inspiring people to take lessons, not inspiring children to learn music. They're setting another idol, another icon that we have to worship. It's wrong.
Okay,
And
so Helen, okay, wait.
Yeah.
All right, I was going to ask you, so, because you know Philip's experience, so with the violin, and I'll just share it. So we started with soft Mozart when he was 18 months, and he was making steady progress, and then he fell in love with the violin. Well, actually the bass and the bassoon. He fell in love with everything, but definitely the violin. And so we went to lessons, and because I didn't want him to develop bad habits of holding the violin. So when he got to violin lessons, then he had to hear the music and hold the bow and hold the violin and stand in a straight line. He's 2.5 and he's a boy, and that's not happening. And so he wasn't making progress, and his teacher was frustrated, and he was frustrated because he would have paid and been happy to go and listen to her play. That's all he wanted. He just wanted somebody he could hear the music in person and just hear the string. And at 2.5, that's all he wanted. And it was ruined for him. So I would like to talk about, because you're talking about lines and spaces. And I don't teach music, but I do teach math. And this applies to math as well. That all of these things that we force children to pay attention to at the same time, and how how limited our memory is, right? We have our memory's weak. And so if you're doing things that are taxing to your memory all the time, so standing in the right place, holding your fingers at the right place, pushing the right note down at the right time, paying attention to lines and spaces, how hard is this for a child, a normal child, not an advanced child, but any normal child, forget children with disabilities, just normal children, to be able to do this and be successful? It seems to me that the problem with it is really an issue of taxing memory and attention, and that it's incredibly draining for children. And then the pressure of having somebody sit over you in heavy sighs when you get the wrong answer or when you push the wrong key. And then they know that and I've done this to my own kids, so I know how this works. I'm frustrated. So you've gotten the wrong math answer, the wrong one. And then I do this because I'm frustrated, and this is now what could have been 15 minutes is now going to be 45, and I have dishes to do and laundry to do, and now we've got to keep practicing. And so how is for you, because I read your thing on attention, how is that taxing, and then what can we do differently to help kids?
Well, we have to remember one thing: the attention is like money. Attention, we have some amount of money in our wallet. How children spend attention, we have to understand their nature, because we grown up people, we forgot a lot of stuff that we learned, and was we were building skills that we forgot how we were doing this. For example, when child is sitting in front of piano, the one thing that he spend attention on is where to look. It's a lot of money for a child. For adults, where to look is already given skill, because we learned in school to look at text, to see different sentences, to find different words, to find our own misspells, mistakes, etc. Child just physically have to learn where he's supposed to look. And this physical process demands money, attention span. And then when they find where to look, they have to shift their focus to find the key. It's again a physically taking more attention money. And we disregard that. We have very high expectations because we forgot how to be child. For example, Sonia, in math, when you teach them, you want them to already start memorizing something and thinking, and they are still touching and feeling the math sticks, smelling how they smell, being adjusted to this new situation, paying attention to different details, because children are explorer. For example, if you go to a forest, and you know the forest, you already know all these little pathways, etc. You look at forest differently. Child smells, looks around, scared of every sound around. So they are completely different, and we forget about it. We forget